Aristotle in his Politics, on the other hand, stated explicitly that the proper telos of war should be peace. He then used this explanation of the purpose of war to critique overtly militaristic societies, like Sparta and Crete, and also to justify wars that either create or defend just polis. However, he failed to consider the reality that people could simply claim to be after peace, or their actions would result in peace, but their means would be unnecessarily cruel. The means under this philosophy were not elaborated on to my knowledge. This leads me to the proclamation of the video, a third world war. And it may be unsurprising, but I blame America. Obviously, it isn't just America's fault. War is often a complicated and dynamic issue. For the sake of simplification, I will provide an example so that people can understand the forces at play. 1. World Trade Center. 2 planes, American Airlines Flight 11 and United Airlines Flight 175, were flown into the north and south towers of the World Trade Center in New York City, causing both towers to collapse. 2. Pentagon. A third plane, American Airlines Flight 77, was crashed into the Pentagon, the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Defense, in Arlington, Virginia. 3. Flight 93, the fourth plane, United Airlines Flight 93, was headed for a target in Washington, D.C. Passengers attempted to regain control from the hijackers, resulting in the plane crashing in a field in Pennsylvania. The attacks resulted in the deaths of nearly 3,000 people and caused significant destruction and trauma. In the aftermath, the U.S. launched the War on Terror, including military actions in Afghanistan aimed at dismantling al-Qaeda and the Taliban regime. The events of 9/11 had profound effects on U.S. policy, leading to increased security measures and global geopolitical changes. The U.S. proceeded to attack the wrong country and set out multiple operations to assassinate Osama bin Laden, on top of multiple cultural and racial prejudices that infiltrated the country. So, why mention this obvious fact? It's because of the double standards. Allow me to list every country America has ever attacked. Direct military actions. 1. Mexico, 1846 to 1848, Mexican-American War. 2. Spain, 1898, Spanish-American War. 3. Germany, World Wars I and II. 4. Japan, World War II. 5. Korea, 1950 to 1953, Korean War. 6. Vietnam, 1955 to 1975, Vietnam War. 7. Cambodia, 1969 to 1970, bombing campaign. 8. Dominican Republic, 1965, military intervention. 9. Grenada, 1983, Operation Urgent Fury. 10. Panama, 1989, Operation Just Cause. 11. Iraq, 1991 to 2003, Gulf War and Iraq War. 12. Afghanistan, 2001 to 2021, War on Terror. Covert operations and interventions. 1. Iran, 1953, Sia Coup, Operation Ajax. 2. Guatemala, 1954, Sia Coup. 3. Cuba, Bay of Pigs invasion, 1961, various covert operations. 4. Chile, 1973, support for coup against Salvador Allende. 5. El Salvador, 1980s, support for government during civil war. 6. Nicaragua, 1980s, support for Contra rebels. 7. Syria, various covert operations, especially in the 1980s. 8. Libya, 1980s and 2011, various military actions and support for opposition. 9. Somalia, 1990s, humanitarian intervention and military actions. 10. Yemen, ongoing drone strikes and counterterrorism operations, proxy attacks and support.
Okay, that was a lot. Who knew America was this involved in wars? It's almost as if it prides itself on its military capabilities. Glad the list is over.
DJ Khaled, if you would. Proxy attacks and support. 1. Afghanistan, 1980s, support for Mujahideen against the Soviet Union. 2. Iran, 1980s, support for Iraqi forces during the Iran-Iraq War. 3. Angola, 1970s to 1980s, support for UNITA against the MPLA government. 4. Cambodia, 1980s, support for anti-communist factions. Syria, ongoing, support for various rebel groups during the Civil War.
Breathe, man, breathe.
Man, this list is long as hell. 6. Venezuela, 2010s, support for opposition groups against the Maduro regime. 7. Ukraine, 2014 top present, Support for government and military against Russian aggression. 8. Honduras, 1980s. Support for government against Sandinista influences. 9. How could we forget the coveted Israel 2023 to date? As an American, would you not want war? I believe that a lot of people claim America is a Christian nation. However, are you treating others the way you want to be treated? I do not wish to reprimand anyone too harshly, but because of the setup of the society Americans live in, you can disregard the suffering others face because it doesn't affect you more, so then it just increases your taxes should you not be actively serving. The same way you disregard your country's actions, your country will disregard you to meet its own end. While the idea of a third world war is a serious and complex topic, here are 10 factors that some analysts suggest could contribute to global conflict. 1. Geopolitical tensions. Ongoing rivalries between major powers, such as the US and China or NATO and Russia, can escalate into broader conflicts. 2. Resource scarcity. Competition for dwindling resources like water, oil, and arable land may lead to conflicts, especially in vulnerable regions. 3. Nationalism and populism. Rising nationalist sentiments can exacerbate tensions between countries and lead to aggressive foreign policies. 4. Cyber warfare. Increasing reliance on technology and the internet opens up new arenas for conflict, where cyber attacks can provoke military responses. 5. Nuclear proliferation. The spread of nuclear weapons to unstable regions increases the risk of escalation and miscalculation during conflicts. 6. Climate change. Environmental changes can lead to migration, food shortages, and conflict over resources, creating instability in various regions. 7. Proxy wars. Existing conflicts in places like the Middle East can draw in major powers through proxy wars, escalating tensions globally. 8. Economic collapse. Global economic downturns can create unrest, leading to conflict as nations struggle for survival and resources. 9. Militarization. Increased military spending and arms races can lead to miscalculations and accidental conflicts between rival nations. 10. Failure of diplomacy. A breakdown in international communication and cooperation can lead to misunderstandings and an inability to resolve conflicts peacefully. Americans often say they live in the best country in the world, but I often have wondered what metrics they are citing. Is it happiness? Could it be in terms of human rights protections? Wasn't Roe v. Wade overturned recently? Is it in terms of democracy? What about what happened on January the 6th? I am of the opinion that they are only the best militarily. If you are pleased with that, then you must be ready to exercise the one thing you value about your country the most. Let's look at modern day. To your knowledge, America is funding various war efforts and providing military equipment. It really is primarily for American interest. At the time where the US population was 330 million, there were 400 million guns owned by civilians. Kamala Harris herself is a gun owner. The prosecutor keen on maintaining America's interests. What if American interests no longer align with global interests? Whoa. Are global interests informed by American interests? If you are the type of person I alluded to, getting sent to war while not caring about the lives lost in the monolith of wars against the people you do not like, then I hope others are as impartial as you have been. If you laughed at the losses, people ought to laugh at yours. It's only fair, right? For if we should wish for the death of another, it were a more just punishment that he who wished that should die himself. By Thomas More. Utopia. You're going to war, and people want you to breathe your last there. Your morality is irrelevant. Your contributions to society are irrelevant. Even if half the world mourns, some will rejoice. Can we live in a world where no one rejoices the ending of lives via war? Of course we can, but only if there are no more wars. It is as easy as not attacking, but to live in a world where people view wars are not necessary, that is the hard part I am trying to figure out.
No memes the entire video? You're so boring. Don't mind me though, I am only here to push the run time of the video to about 10 minutes.
Unfortunately no, there are no memes today. There was a lot of important information I had missed out, but only due to not wanting to overwhelm the average viewer. There is so much happening around the world, I cannot say I care about it all. It's natural not to care about everything, but when they involve you to a certain degree, I at least hope in your capacity as a human being to care.
Just put my fries in the bag, lil bro.
Like the video and I won't sneak into your house and leave the sink running when you go to bed. I am more than capable.